Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and this is my first impressions look on the Wade All City 10 version 2. So this shoe retails for 150 bucks, the same exact price as the regular AC10. So if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave a link in the description box. This is the second version and they did make some subtle changes, mainly the upper but also a little bit in the cushion. But let's get it started off with the tracciones, and like I mentioned before, the traction is pretty much exactly the same, right? So we have some pluses and it kind of like ripples out on itself, identical to the regular AC10, right? And the regular AC10 had good traction but was a little bit inconsistent on dust, and it did slide out if there was too much dust buildup, and they probably didn't change up the rubber compound all too much, so hopefully it sticks well on dust. It was just a little dangerous, you know what I mean? And it kind of reminded me of the Jordan 31. Remember, you would slide out like crazy, like even if you did a hard stop like this, it would slide just like a couple of inches, right? So I mean, I did try it on my wood floors, and that's what it kind of felt like, and it felt really similar to the regular AC10. So the traction probably isn't too different, right? On the clean court, it's really good. It has a super loud squeak as well, which has nothing to do with performance, but I like to have a really nice and loud squeak. But of course, we'll have to see on the dust performance, but I do have two different colorways available here, like this like pink or lavender colorway, and on this one we have like a solid white rubber outsole here in the forefoot and midfoot, and then here in the heel it's black. As far as the durability goes, durability seems pretty good. The grooves are rather thick and the rubber overall is on the harder side of things, and the grooves are deep, so it feels like it's going to be pretty damn good on an outdoor court. So the traction is feeling pretty good so far. It's just hopefully it performs a little bit better on dust and it doesn't slide out as much like the regular AC10 did. Alright, moving on to the heel to toe transition. Feels exactly the same as the regular AC10. So we have a nice rounded shape here in the heel, pretty much fully exposed cloud midsole. And then here in the forefoot we have a nice curve shape and a lot of forefoot flex, right? So overall it feels really smooth, just like here in the regular AC10. And now moving on to the cushioning setup. So the cushioning setup is a little bit different. The foam that they're using and the setup is pretty much identical, but the strobel board is different, right? Which I do like a lot. So I love what Li-Ning is doing. So we've seen it in the WOW 10 and also the Shadow 4 with the mesh strobel board, right? So as far as the foam composition goes, it's pretty much identical to the AC10. So it's using a full length cloud midsole and then also full length boom pretty much right underneath your foot, right? And it was a really nice cushioning setup in the regular AC10, and it feels a little bit better in the V2 because of this the strobel board, right? So they're using a mesh strobel board, right? But in the heel it's really soft, and also in the forefoot it's really soft. Like just pressing with your fingers, you can definitely feel the boom, and there's a good compression. It's very comfortable for stepping comfort. And honestly though, if you look at the regular AC10, the strobel board is like a normal strobel board, right? But if you felt it, it was kind of on the softer side of things, which I did like. It wasn't super stiff, it didn't feel very glued down, so stepping comfort was still nice in the AC10. But here in the V2 they're using the mesh strobel board and it feels a little bit better. There's a little bit more compression, and the stepping comfort also is a little bit better as well. You still have nice compression here from the midsole. Court feel is very good still. It's just they slightly improved the stepping comfort with the switch to the mesh strobel board, which is a great thing, and I hope Li-Ning keeps doing that. You know, I really like the strobel board. And also if you look at the insole is not that bad. You know, it's a pretty soft insole, not a whole lot of foam or anything to it, which isn't a big deal in my personal opinion because you have that mesh strobel board, which is soft. If it was like a thicker foam insole or like a stiffer insole, then that probably wouldn't help with stepping comfort. So I do like how they made it pretty thin, but the insole isn't anything special, right? So there is the cushioning setup there. It does feel like a little bit of an upgrade from the AC10. Moving on to the material, so we have a shroud, right? And we have two different shrouds in these two different colorways. So here in like this pink color, we have like a very open mesh, right? And then on the other colorway, we have more of a tighter mesh, right? And it feels very similar though. It's still super thin and very soft. It conforms to your foot very well, but this shroud material here in the pink colorway is a little bit lighter feeling, you know, and it's probably a tiny bit better for ventilation. But overall, like underneath that, it's pretty much the same exact material, like this textile, which has good support. You know, there's really no stretch to it. It's thin overall, but it's just that in the V2 there is a shroud over it. And then we have this midfoot strap, which doesn't really do a whole lot. I do like how they made it like super thin though. Doesn't add that much bulk, but like if you really tighten it, you can't really tighten it that much. You know what I mean? It doesn't add that much lockdown in my personal opinion. And also it says AC10. I don't really like the design of the strap all too much. I feel like the regular AC10 looks a lot cleaner, right? And then for the tongue, we have, it's pretty much the exact same. There's a nice bit of padding here on top of the tongue, but like on the bottom, it's more like a mesh material, like an open mesh, just like in the regular AC10. Right? So that's pretty much the same. And then here in the ankle area, we have an average amount of padding. And then actually here where the Achilles is more like well padded, right? That feels nice and cozy, but on the sides, it's more on like the average side of things. And also another difference is here for the external heel. Look at that. For the heel counter, it's just crazy. I guess here in the regular AC10, there's not really an external heel counter, so we have this like useless plastic heel tab, you know? But yeah, this is so sharp, you know what I mean? It kind of like scares me, like it's stiff plastic, so I wonder if you're like running, you know, and then you kind of hit your ankle bone or something, I wonder if that'll hurt. Because I remember in like the KD5, I think, Elites, I hit, yeah, the midsole is like plastic, right? And I hit my ankle bone and it hurt really, really bad. But anyways, it protrudes out a good amount, which I don't like. And I don't really like how it looks all too much. But they added that, which I guess is a good thing for support. But to be honest, I feel like it's a little unnecessary because the internal heel counter here in the AC10 was adequate enough, right? So there's the materials. Moving on to the fit, they sent me a half size up and it fits me pretty well, but there is a little bit of length. So for most people, if you want a nice snug fit lengthwise, I would suggest going true to size. Also, it is really snug here in the toe box, just like here in the AC10, which I like. So the fit overall for me is nice, it's just there is a little bit of length which I don't like as much. And now moving on to the support and lockdown, I feel like it's gonna be good. I mean, for lateral containment, we have a lot going on, right? So here in the forefoot, we have this plastic piece acting as a sidewall and like a lateral counter. Here in the heel, we have the external heel counter as well. So lateral containment is probably going to be very, very good, just like here in the regular AC10, right? It's pretty much the exact same. And also for lateral stability, look how much this piece protrudes out. So we have a very wide and low base. Like here for the outsole and midsole, it just protrudes out like crazy. Look at that. So lateral stability feels like it's going to be very good as well. And also for ankle support, they're both super low. So it feels very similar as far as lockdown and support goes to the regular AC10. And now moving on to the weight of the shoe, I feel like it's going to be a little bit heavier than the regular AC10, right? But I don't think it's going to be that heavy. Maybe around 13 ounces, I think. Yeah, 12.63 ounces. The other pair is 12.87 ounces. Let's check the regular AC10. 12.2 ounces. Yeah, so it's a little bit lighter for the regular AC10, probably because of the heel counter, right? And then let's check the other colorway. I'm kind of curious. 12.66 ounces. Yeah, so it's around average weight, but a little bit heavier than the regular AC10. And it feels really minimal overall, but it does feel a little bulky because of the external heel counter right here in the heel. But overall, it feels pretty much exactly the same as the AC10. Now moving on to the aesthetics, not a huge fan, honestly. Like, I do love the shroud, but I don't really like the addition of the midfoot strap, and also I don't really like the heel counter all too much. I feel like the regular AC10 just looks a lot better and cleaner, especially in this all white colorway, right? So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, it definitely does feel like a little bit of an upgrade because of the strobo board, right? But other than that, it's pretty much exactly the same shoe, but with, I guess, like a shroud and a strap and also the heel counter, right? The fit is pretty much the same. Support and lockdown feels very similar as well. So also, I guess it all comes down to looks, like what you guys think looks better too. But anyways, that about concludes my first impressions look on the AC10 V2. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave a link in the description box, but that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.